I'm back. Bet you didn't think you'd see me again. Um, it's been a long few months, and I believe the last video I made was in March. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's when it was. Anyway, a lot has transpired. I'm still grieving. I probably will the rest of my life, but I'm learning how to cope with the grief, and um, I'm learning. I'm dealing. It's not easy. It's been very much a struggle. I think the worst times are in the evenings when we had most of our conversations. So it's all new. You know, being alone is not my issue because I can do that. That's easy. Being alone is easy for me. I've done it, several times now. But the conversations, I miss that. I miss the hanging out together. Those types of things are what I miss. But anyway, it's been a whirlwind this year. We're now in September, and I'll just give you some highlights of what we've been doing. Since I've been here, the first thing I did was I had a fence put in for my dogs, and they are adjusting. I think they're like me. They're not fans of Indiana. We are Southern people now. Although I was born and raised here, it's different to be back. It's totally different to be back. It's familiar, but yet not the same. But they are coping. We're having some behavioral issues with Harley. She is still grieving, Clay. It is unreal. This dog. I'm watching her. She's gotten very clingy with me, and she's not a lady's dog at all. She's a man's dog. But she has took over the position of being my protector, and we've had several issues with her attitude toward Doodle, the beagle. So Monday, I'm hoping to get a phone call from a trainer, and see if we can get her some help with this, because she's getting more and more aggressive, and she's not aggressive towards me or towards people. It's just Doodle, and my theory is she's trying to eliminate her. So being 62, trying to break up a dog fight is not good for me. I'm just not strong enough, so it's all I can do to break them up. So I'm over that. So we're moving on. The dogs are, they're trying to adjust. It's just it's a process. So I got the fence put in. I had a new handicap shower put in for the fact that I am getting older, and this house had a tub shower combo, and I'm short, so I nearly fell 3 or 4 times since I've been here trying to get in and out of that tub. So I told my son, I said, this is not working for me. So I ordered the shower, and that in itself was a job. I tell everybody that I bought the money pit. I guess I'm spoiled because Florida home, we didn't have to do any major repairs. We just made it our home. We did some painting and this and that and the other, but it was perfect. There were no flaws in that home. This home has many flaws. It's a flipped house, and the flippers, which I won't say publicly who they are, but I would not recommend them to build a doghouse. That's how bad they did my home, and a lot of it got through inspection. It is what it is. But anyway, I love the little house. It is small, but I love it because it's perfect for me. I get through here. I can do things. I can get it cleaned. It's just the perfect home for me. Back to the shower. They ripped out my old stuff, and he came and got me as soon as they pulled that last piece out. He said, I need to show you this. I'm like, oh Lord, what now? And I had already Since I got here, the first week I was here, I had to have the sewer line cleaned, and it was full of roots and God knows why. I think small people, I don't know. But I had it done twice within 2 months, and so the guy says, there's an issue. He said, your P-trap is not draining, and I don't know how you've been using this shower at all. And I said, well, it's just me here, and I don't run water wide open. I just, whatever I need. I'm a frugal person. I don't throw money around, so now that I have a water bill, I'm very cautious about how much water I waste. So, but anyway, it was working for me. You can't get through there, Harley. You can't get through. She's trying to get to me right now. Over here, honey. Over here, baby. Harley, come over here. There you go. There you go. Easy, good girl. So, anyway, the P-trap, whatever that is, I don't know anything about plumbing. I just know if it works or not. The P-trap was completely clogged, and there was an additional drain. I have no idea what it was, but the guy tells me there's supposed to be a cap on it. Well, the cap was laying on the ground, and there was open dirt there. I mean, it was just hideous. So, you know, he said, we can't finish this until you get this fixed. So I'm like, okay. So, you know, I'm new here in Indiana again, new to this area, so I know nobody. So I call the only one that I can recognize the name. I call him out here, and he looks at it. He says, well, I'm going to have to get a jackhammer, and we're going to have to bust all that concrete up and get in there and fix that. Run a new line, you know, everything, just all of it. I'm right here. All of it. So I'm thinking, oh, how much is this going to cost? I'm not going to tell you what it cost, but anyway, it got fixed, and it took 2 weeks to get that shower completed because they, you know, once I see my picture isn't straight, disregard that. Anyway, it took 2 weeks to get the shower completed, and that was because once, you know, I was only allotted 2-day thing for the installers, so that threw them behind. So then they had to throw me back behind and go to other projects. So anyway, we got the shower fixed. Then I went to have a pool put in, and that itself was, I mean, it just seems like everything I go to do here, it's a disaster. But, you know, I ordered the pool in March. After many fights, many lengthy arguments, I finally got my pool the week of the 4th. So they finished installation. It took 4 days to put this pool in, which is ridiculous. But anyway, they finished it. They leave. The water wagon comes, and he's filling it up, you know, and I think it's like 60,000 gallons of water. So he was there for the last haul of it, and I turned and I looked to see the progress, and I would guesstimate about an 8-foot section of the top liner is pulling away. I mean, it is literally pulling down. And I looked at the guy and I said, that's not good. He said, no, that's not good. And he said, I've heard that about this company. They just do shoddy work. Now you tell me, what did you call me and tell me? But anyway, I called the company, and they said, you know, we'll send somebody out to look at it. So the next day they're out there, and the whole evening I'm like, this thing's just going to implode on itself, and 60,000 gallons of water is just going to go everywhere. But it didn't implode, and he came out and he said, well, you're going to have a new liner. But we can't put one in now. We're going to have to do it when the season's over with. I said, well, what about my season? He said, oh, you'll be fine. We'll fix it we'll just, you know, we'll do a patch on it. So I said, okay. So I'm thinking patch, you know, let's get the hot glue gun out and let's get this industrial strength sealant on there. Duct tape. They duct taped 8 foot of my pool around the top to get me through the season. And I'm like, oh my Lord. This is so redneck. I mean, it's so redneck, but, you know, you got to understand what I'm dealing with here. Anyway, we have gotten through the season with the pool. It is still standing. I keep my fingers crossed. We're getting ready to shut it down for the season, and they're going to come out and drain it. And that was another issue. Where are we going to put 60,000 gallons of water? And I said, well, you're not draining it into my yard. That's just not going to happen. Well, we can run a line out to the street and run it out that way. I said, that's illegal. That is illegal. Bottom line, you can't do that. So we have come up with a plan on how to drain that pool and, get the new liner in and fill it back up on them. That I am not paying one dime because it was poor installation. I watched these dudes put this pool in, and I kept saying, hey, you got wrinkles over here on this side. Oh, that'll smooth out when the water goes in. And I'm like, you got 3 or 4 inches of extra hanging down here of the white. There's a white trim around the top that goes over, and that's what seals it down. Well, no, it'll be fine. It'll all straighten out when the water goes in. Well, it didn't straighten out. So that's been a trial for me all summer. To anytime someone would come over, I'm like, don't look at the duct tape. It's a long story. Just, the pool is fine. Chemicals are good. Don't worry. It's all good. So that was an issue. There's been several little minor things that I've had to, take care of. But I was sitting in my chair the other day, and, well, this has been going on for a while. I kept looking at this spot in the ceiling, and I thought, that spot wasn't there when I moved in, but it's there now. And I'm thinking, okay, Kim, use your head. That's a leak. So I got my son over here, and I said, look up. So he looks up, and he's like, oh, Lord. And I said, yeah, oh, Lord. Well, I have a home warranty, and it does cover leaks. But when they sent the company out to look at the leak, as soon as they get out of the truck, he said, ma'am, your roof is screwed up. I'm like, Lord have mercy, now what? He said, are you aware that you have 4 layers of roofing on your house? And I'm like, it passed inspection. Well, that doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, oh man, what's this going to cost? He said, the good news is, we can patch this, for now. I said, I just want it to get me through the winter. That's all I'm asking for. And there's a backstory. If I can remember, I'll go back and tell that story about the roof. Anyway, I said, well, if you can patch it for now, I said, in the spring, I'll get you back out here. And he said, he did an inspection of it. He said, I don't know how it passed inspection because, number 1, it has 4 layers. And number 2, it's not put on properly. None of it's proper. He said the only thing they put on correctly was the guttering. That's it. Nothing else is right. And to look at the house, you would think, oh, that's a pretty roof. It's a pretty color, and it looks fresh. And no, apparently it's in bad shape. So, and it's putting way too much weight on my house. So anyway, I said, all right, so I'm still waiting on them to come out and patch that. The backstory, I hadn't had my fence in 2 weeks, and I got up one morning and I looked out my kitchen window, and there is this humongous limb laying on my brand new fence. I freaked out. I'm like, oh my, and it wasn't from my tree, it was from the neighbor's tree. So, Harley, you cannot get through there. So, I called my son. I said, hey, there's a limb in my yard, and it's on my brand new fence. So he came over, and he looked at it. He said, yeah, you're going to have to get that, cut up, moved. I said, well, we turned around, and we both looked at the same time. And, I think it's called a weather vane, where the lines run through to the house. It's a big white pipe. All the electrical runs through there. That limb had pulled that vane down, and it was, instead of like this, it was laying like that. And I said, oh my Lord, how do I I shouldn't have power, but I did. So that made it a whole other issue. So therefore, I had to call, an emergency crew to come out and free up that line from the tree, because the limb was still attached. The limb was, I would say, 3 feet, maybe 4 feet in diameter. It was a huge limb, and it did, amazingly, it did not break my fence. It just crimped the top of it. So I had to call an emergency crew out here to fix the weather, whatever it is, and he freed up the line so I could get, the power fixed, the line fixed. So anyway, that was the backstory for the fence. So that got fixed. In September of last year, when Clay was starting to go downhill, he went to South Carolina for a last trip, and while he was gone, I took it upon myself to get out in the backyard, and I think I told the story before. I, worked in the backyard for 3 days. I cleared stuff. I cleared brush. I cut down limbs. I cut down small trees, and I, put it in these big barrels to go to the dump. And at some point during that time, I did something to my back, and I knew something was wrong, but I thought it was my hip, because my hip was hurting all the time. And I told Clay, I said, I've done something to my hip. And he said, we need to go get checked. And I'm like, yeah, I'll check it later. Well, I put it off. The whole time he was, his last days, I was in excruciating pain. Then I moved up here, and it still was bad. And then it has just gradually gotten worse and worse and worse. So I finally went to the doctor, and I said, hey, I think I've done something to my hip. So she did an x-ray, and she said, well, you got some really bad arthritis in there, but I don't see any, nothing's broken or out of place or anything like that. I'm going to send you to a orthopedic doctor. So I said, okay, fine. So I go see the orthopedic, and he agrees, yeah, there's some arthritis in there. Let's give you a shot. So we get the shot, and it did nothing. I went back in 2 weeks, and he said, well, how you doing? I said, I'm no better. I said, matter of fact, I'm a little bit worse. And he said, that doesn't make sense. So he says, well, lay on this table. I want to try something. So, 62, you don't move as well as you used to. But he takes my knees up, and then he twists them. And immediately, the toes in my left foot went numb. And I told him, I said, my toes are numb. And he said, well, that's not your hip, that's your back. So ensues a long, long process of, trying to figure out what it is, getting insurance to approve an MRI. So I finally got the MRI about a month and a half ago, I think. And it showed that I did do something. A vertebrae shifted, and it caused the disc to push out, and it's pinching a nerve. And so I've been trotting around here, limping and walking around like an old lady for months, and thinking it was my hip. But finally, I think it was last Wednesday, they took me in and gave me a nerve block. And I can't say that I'm 100% better, but I'm walking without a limb, and I'm able to sleep. So I think we're on the right track now. But if the shot does not work, then I will have to go in and get it fixed. But I'm not too worried about that. I just am tired of dealing with the pain of it all, and it has been a year of this. But FYI, don't ignore hip pain, because it could be your back and not your hip. I would have never suspected that, but it is what it is. So I'm trying to think. I've tried to catch up on all the highlights. I was talking to my family the other day about the life that I've lived, and it is a story that needs to be told, but how to tell it is the question. So I think my next video, hopefully I won't be away so long this time. I mean, it's just been busy. And when I would think to sit down and make a video, then, something else would happen. Or the grandson, he's over here quite often now, and I love it. I love having him around. We are still trying to navigate the waters of who's in charge. He believes he is, and I know I am. So, and he's having to adjust to my dogs, which are not used to having kids around. But he's 12, but he's still a kid, and he believes that they should adjust to him and not him to them. And I said, that's not how it works with animals. You adjust to them, and you work around them. But anyway, we're navigating through here slowly. I am, finally, like I said, I am finally getting to where I can function. I get up every day. I have a routine now. I take, whenever I feel the sadness coming on, I just go with it. I don't try to fight it. I try to just roll with it and accept it. And it is what it is. I was put here for a reason. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'm still here. Clay's not. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go, and I hope that you have a great week. And I will try to start it's going to be a series of videos, and it's going to shock you, the life that I have lived, and how I have come to be where I am right now, the person that I am, and the way that I am, my views, my opinions, and why I no longer go to church. I believe in God. Put that out there. I believe in God. I just do not believe in organized religion. That's a thing of my past, and that will be part of these series. So if you have a friend or a family member that is in a cult, I will give you that clue, that is in a cult of any kind, steer them over to my channel, because you better hold on to your seat of your pants. It's going to be a whirlwind story, and it's going to be unbelievable, but it is absolutely the truth. So I'm not going to use this channel to belittle people, but I am going to tell the truth about my life, my experiences, and how I came to be where I am right now in this moment. So you guys have a great week. And it's kind of good to be back. I mean, I've missed making my videos, and my grandson, he catches them every now and then on YouTube, and he says, Grammy, most of your videos are very sad. I said, well, we're going to get better as we go. I said, I've been a sad person for a very long time, and I'm learning as I go to navigate these waters and be a better person. So ta-ta for now. And you guys, like I said, have a great week. Have a great, I don't think there's any holidays coming up right away, but, just have a great, whatever, have a great. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye.